Hello there, welcome to Growing with the Griffies. And today I'm talking about, this is my part two, about breastfeeding. So often people ask me about stockpiling. How do I stockpile breast milk? How do I get my body to produce more? Why am I only getting, a certain amount of breast milk at a time? So with that, I tell people if you're wanting to stockpile your breast milk, for instance, if you're going to be returning back to work in 3 months, if you're on maternity leave or something like that, and you still want to continue to breastfeed, there's some things that you can do. First, water, water, water. Make sure you have your water intake up, you're eating well, you're getting as much rest as you can when you can, eating healthy. A lot of people swear by, oatmeal and different things like that there's supplements and things like that you can take. I never really got into doing the supplement thing because I've heard mixed reviews, and I've helped a lot of women with breastfeeding, some that I know personally and some that were referred to me over the years. I believe I've helped around about 50 women personally, at least. And that's through talking with them, messaging on through different social media, them getting my phone numbers. So I decided I would put some information out. So, like I said before in video one, with breastfeeding, it is can be time consuming. It but it's very rewarding. So, things that I tell parents, mothers, new mothers, even if you don't get to start early, say you're watching this video late and you're like, oh, Jackie, am I too late to start doing this? No, there's never a time that's too late unless your milk has already dried up. And even then, it's not even too late. You can still, you know, get your body back into the groove. It just may take a little bit longer if you're trying to make yourself relactate versus getting ahead of the game and working on that from the beginning. So, some things that you can do if you're a new mom who just had her baby and you're in the hospital, the first thing is to get that good latch down. So, once you've gotten that latch down, or if you're going to be pumping or hand expressing, you need to do that. I usually tell people, well, first of all, feed your baby on demand. If they're, rooting, like they're sucking on their fingers, hands, things like that, or they're kind of looking, around, mouthing, for milk, then, go ahead and feed the baby. But usually they recommend that you feed the baby every 2 hours, but definitely on demand. Like I said, I know that sounds like a lot. So usually I tell people, during the hours when you're awake, every 2 hours, you need to be either pumping or breastfeeding. And then overnight, I'm sorry, moms, that even if baby is sleeping, that is not the time for you to say, well, you know what, I'm going to catch up on sleep as well. And then just let your milk either leak out or just let yourself be really engorged. Because then again, it's sending your body signals that you don't need to make that milk. So overnight, I tell people, at least once a day, I would say go like a 4 hour stretch, but no longer than that. But usually I would say save that for nighttime if your baby is, sleeping, and then you need to, be in a regular schedule. So you kind of want to sleep at night. So I usually say save that for nighttime when you do that bigger stretch. But I would not go more than that, especially in the beginning stages, whether it's during the day or overnight. So like I said, every 2 hours or on demand for exclusively breastfeeding moms. That's putting baby on the breast. But in between then, or after you finish breastfeeding or pumping, then you start to store that milk, and you can put it either in a collection little bottle like this that you can get from the hospital. And I'm pretty sure you can buy them as well, or some type of breast milk storage bag, or you can actually put it in a regular bottle like this, or whatever you have. And sometimes I'll even, if I'm pumping or something like that, and I know I'm going to go back to it, seeing as how you can leave breast milk out for several hours, especially overnight if you're tired and you're like, I'm not about to go downstairs or to the kitchen, or I don't want to wake the baby or my husband, or I'm just plain tired, and you don't want to necessarily get up right then. Breast milk is good to stay out in a warm room of 79 degrees for 4 to 6 hours, up to 10 hours in a cool room, and you can still feed that to baby. But of course, in that amount of time you've been fed that baby or gone and put it up. So sometimes I would actually go ahead and pump, and then I would just detach and sit it on my nightstand and roll back over and go to sleep until baby needed a little bit more. Now, sometimes I wouldn't pump until I was completely empty, yeah, unless I've already fed the baby and then I know that the baby's not waking back up. But if I know that the baby will be waking up soon and I just needed to relieve myself a little bit so I wouldn't be, engorged and tight, or to have some in the bottle so that I can give it off to pour in another bottle and then give off to husband to feed the baby while I take those 2 hours of sleep. Because honestly, it doesn't take a very long time to pump. 10 to 15 minutes, you should, have all the milk that you would have in a 10 to 15-minute portion session. Now, if you have it on really low and maybe you're engorged or something like that, it may take a little bit longer, but you definitely shouldn't be pumping over 20 minutes. That's just excessive and you're going to be tired and sore and things like that. And also remember, when you're pumping, put a little bit of that, some type of barrier, even if whether it's some coconut oil and you dip in your finger, something, lotion that's, flavorless or what have you. Put something on there as a little bit of a barrier, because when you're pumping, and whether it doesn't matter what kind of pump you're using, it actually expands the nipple. So it actually makes it like get wider. So, you're stretching it out because it's that air that's pulling and pumping it up to get that milk out. Of course, with baby, that's not what's happening, but the pump cannot mimic, no matter what pump you get, it cannot mimic the baby's natural latch. So when you're actually, breastfeeding your baby and your baby is on the nipple, it keeps it in this shape, or even, kind of, it compresses it. But when the baby is on there, it keeps its natural shape. But when you're pumping, like I said, it expands it a lot more and kind of elongates everything, just kind of pulls that. So, that can create some type of sensitivity when you're doing that. So that's why you want to make sure you keep, some type of cream and things like that. And even in a pinch, like years ago, before I was keeping, those creams, or before I had them, some type of barrier, I would always have like a little bottle of water. So I've even done that, like just, kind of dip my finger, put a little water on there and kind of put it on, like just to keep, things lubricated, because you don't want things to be, getting flaky, or peeling or anything like that, any damage to your skin, because then that'll make you more sensitive and not want to do it. I tell people all the time, if you can get past the first 2 weeks of breastfeeding, then you'll probably be, have your success going there, unless there, some other things that just keep you from doing that, like, your work schedule is too strenuous or something. But when I say I have pumped everywhere, I have pumped everywhere. I was in college when I had my first son, in my last year of college. So I took that backpack pump of mine and I would hang it on the hook in the bathroom. I would take it in between my classes. I only had about a 15-minute to 20-minute break in between classes to get to the next one. And in 10 minutes, I would go in there, hang that pump on that hook in the bathroom stall. I had the little battery pack where I could do it where I didn't need to plug into the outlet, and I would stand there and I would hold that pump on and I would pump for 10 minutes, get that milk, take this off, put a little cap on that comes with it, and put it in my bag, because I knew that it would be fine for the rest of the time I had class, or if I had the little cool packs in this little other case that actually comes with the Medela, where you can put the breast milk in there to keep it cold. And I would put it in there, and then I would hurry up and take that 5 minutes and rush myself back to class. And when I would get home, I would go ahead and either put that in the refrigerator, or usually I would go in and feed the baby that bottle, because he would need more as he was home with my husband and he had whatever milk that was there. Also, I pumped in the airport the same type of way. I pumped in the car with the cigarette lighter port attachment that you can use with my little wrap on me, and in the car with friends, shoulder to shoulder, male and female, and just kind of pumping underneath that thing, or they're in the front or I'm in the front, and they're like, what are you doing back there? Don't worry about it, I'm just pumping. They can't see anything or what have you. Or on the way going out, or in the car from going out, and then you're just like, hey, I need to pump before I go in here. My daughter's coming in. Oh, my big girl. So, just talking about, yeah, that's mine. Just talking about, pumping. And I was in the military, and I've even pumped out in the field, like I said, with my hands, with my pump with the battery pack. So I've pumped out in the field and everything like that. Get up. What do you want to say? You saying hi? Say bye. She's being shy. So I have pumped out in the field, like I said, in uniform, underneath the wrap, in the tent and everything like that. I've pumped while on road trips. I pumped even being at other people's houses, even plugged in at the bathroom when my battery pack has died or I couldn't find it, or just different things like that. Like I said, just everywhere, in the corner, sitting on the floor, whatever I've needed to pump at, I've done that, because I know I needed to have that milk saved up for baby, and I knew that I didn't want to have that engorged feeling, because it feels horrible. Some women don't have a really bad engorgement, they don't swell. But for me, myself, like, I would be, swollen and engorged like up to my collarbone. Everything would be in knots and just really tight and lifted, even like in my lymph node area, and very uncomfortable. I have been where I've left my pump before thinking I had it in the vehicle, so I've always like kept different little pumps like this around, like whether it's in my purse or in the glove compartment, things like that. And my mom, who is someone who never pumped a day in her life, she's actually one person that saw how horrible it was for me when I was staying in the city one time and I didn't have my pump. And she was just like, you need to keep one in your car. Just keep one somewhere so that you have it, so you don't have to go through that. So different things like that. So I always tell people, it's no big excuse not to pump. If you have, at least 10 minutes, that's something that you can do, even if you're at work and things like that. But it's, like I said, it's a very big commitment. So I even have a friend, shout out to Brianna out in Texas. She actually was, a breastfeeding mom, and she did things a little bit differently. I believe she said that she would go, a lot longer without pumping and things like that. And then her baby just, got the milk once she got home, but she was able to keep her supply up. So it definitely is different for everyone, but I definitely encourage people, at least if they can help it, not to go over 4 hours. Have I gone 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours? Yes. But if that's something that you do daily, if you're not blessed with an overabundant supply where you're producing a lot, where you're producing 6 to 8 to 12 ounces or more in one setting, then I would not encourage you to do that. If you're only getting 4 ounces, every 2 hours, and that's, 2 ounces from this side, and 2 ounces from the other, or 3, and then 2 or 1, because you don't get an equal amount from each breast every time. Sometimes it's crazy which one may produce. Like for me, sometimes I'll get, and then this is 4 ounces. So that's 4 ounces. So, sometimes people get 1 or 2. And if you get 1 or 2 off one side and then, maybe 5 off the other side, you can combine it, so it doesn't really matter, but you just want to keep account from that, and that it always switches as well. So that's one reason why I actually like pumping sometimes. I don't do it often because I am a stay-at-home mom now, but I would pump just so I can kind of keep an account to see, like just do a day of, breastfeeding and pumping, so I can see like how much I'm producing off, either side, so I can see if am I only getting 2 off this side, how much is my baby getting? Am I getting 3 on this side? Is it flip flopping? Like I said, it just kind of depends on. It just depends on your body. and it doesn't stay the same. Now, some people, they'll say certain times, their right breast or their left breast is the one that produces more every time. Sorry, getting my water in. As my little one will be waking back up soon, and I'll need to give him some milk. So, like I said, just doing that. So, what I tell people, like I said, you should every 2 hours you should be pumping 4 to 6 hours if you need that long of a stretch, or depending on what your schedule is. But just don't give up, and remember that you're a new mom, and sleeping completely during the night, that won't happen. So if you're going to be waking up anyway to breastfeed baby or what have you, just tailor it to where you know that you're pumping or you're breastfeeding, or storing at those scheduled times. And the more you pump, like I call it a superpower pumping session, or a breastfeeding weekend, or what have you. If you're trying to get that milk supply up, if it's low, if you're not doing that pumping every 2 hours, or breastfeeding, or both pumping and breastfeeding. Like I told you in the last video, I would actually either pump on one side and breastfeed on the other, or I would start breastfeeding on, or some people switch. So they might say, I'm going to feed the baby completely so that they're getting, you know, completely draining this one side. And then I'll pump on the other side, or I'll feed baby halfway on this one and then halfway on the other one, let them finish up. So you can do either one. Like my baby is a little bit older now because he is 13 months. So he actually switches from side to side. So I don't know if he switches because one is slowing down and it's not, going as fast as the other. Because like I said, I kind of, hold my breast to my nipple on the other side to keep it from spraying or going. So he'll like push the other hand off and then jump onto the other side and start drinking the milk. And then he might even go back to the other side or whatever before he gets off. It just kind of depends on how he's feeling. Or he might just stay on one side and just, completely have that one. But when they're smaller, they don't do things like that. So it's kind of up to you to know if you want to switch them or what's easier. I found that I would always just pump afterwards. So after the baby got off my breast, I would take maybe 10 minutes to see what else was left in there and, kind of pump that out and put it in the fridge. And then I would just add to it, or just, leave it. If I knew I was going to have it out for my next pumping session, just kind of leave that sitting there. And, or if I was sleeping or something like that before I took it. So yeah, just that, like I said, that power pumping session or breastfeeding weekend would be, pumping every 2 hours, and pumping or breastfeeding every 2 hours. Pumping, if you're breastfeeding from the breast, then actually pumping after you breastfeed each time to get whatever is left. If the baby is sleeping 4 hours and you need to pump, then you know what, go ahead and pump that milk out. If you know how much you typically get, then you can kind of stop at a point or wait till it slows down a little bit and then stop, and then leave whatever milk is left in your breast so that you can feed baby from the breast if that's what you choose, if you're not doing the bottle yet. But if you are doing the bottle, then you can go ahead and completely drain those your breast. And then if the baby is asleep for another 2 hours or another hour, you already have that milk where you can either give that bottle or one of those bottles, or you can just put that milk up and store it and freeze it, and then you can feed the baby from your breast. So you already have that put up. But you'll be surprised at how much you can put up a day. But I always tell people, even if you're not producing much, you should still be able to at least get one 4-ounce bag of milk put up a day, even if that's you pumping 4 times and you're only putting up an ounce. And so you get that amount and close it up, put, either chill it or put it in the freezer. So you should be able to do that. And wake yourself up at night, whether you have to set an alarm or your body's your alarm or your baby or what have you, and kind of do that pumping. When I had my first son 12 years ago, what I would do was I didn't really prefer feeding from the breast. So I would get up, I would pump before he woke up, and then I would have one bottle out for him, and then the other I would actually freeze, or I would leave out both bottles. And for that 4-hour stretch that I was going to sleep, I would have my husband feed the baby, and those 2 bottles were already there, and then I would go to sleep, and then when those 4 hours were over or his turn was over, then I would go ahead and pump again, or breastfeed the baby from the breast, or do a combination of both. But now, since my husband is a lot busier and sometimes work nights, I just felt it was easier for me to exclusively breastfeed from the breast. And then when I needed to pump to store, I would put up that extra for that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said before, there are a lot of things to breastfeeding, and I will continue to share as I think about things or as people ask me questions, and then I will share with you. Please remember to subscribe and to share my videos. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching this breastfeeding segment on Growing with the Griffies. Bye.